let's talk Africa in depth, because I know it's your personal favorite.
Yeah. So like I was going to say, if there was one place which I would go back to again and again, it's Africa. I think I've had the best trips of my life out there.
You know, when people think of Africa, they only think of safaris. The non-safari and safari.
Yeah. So I think Africa has everything that one could want. Obviously, safari is a major draw in Africa, particularly Eastern and Southern Africa. I think a safari holiday is one of the best holidays you can do, especially for a honeymoon, because you have an activity in the day to keep you busy.
Yeah.
Otherwise, on a honeymoon, you're always struggling to create an itinerary. And with a safari, you have a great activity for all day. A lot of safaris, you even have different activities. Like, for example, we know a place in Kenya where you can do horseback safaris. We've actually had clients get up close with rhinos while riding horses. Then in Zambia and Botswana, you can do safaris by boat. So you can do them either by motorboat or even in canoes.
Oh, nice.
So because the canoes are so silent, you can actually get much closer to the animals, get a much more unique experience. And then of course you have your game drives. And then for me, the beautiful thing about an African safari is how immersive the experience is.
Yeah.
When you're staying at the lodge, it's in the national park. You have the freedom to move around anywhere. You can get off the jeep. You can have your sundowners in the middle of the wild with nobody else around. I think that's such a romantic thing, just you, your loved one, and nature. So I think that's one of my favorite things about Africa. And the camps out there, they do these beautiful, beautiful setups. Like, when we were in Botswana, they took us to a location, and we reached there, and there was this entire buffet breakfast setup, along with a chef who was making eggs for us live in the middle of the bush. So setups like that, it's only possible in a place like Africa where they have that space.
I think they just do it so right.
They do it so well, and that's just the safari bit of it. And if you look at the non-safari bit of it, for example, I love South Africa for honeymoons because you get a bit of everything.
Cape Town is beautiful.
You have everything a couple would want. You've got Kruger and Swalu and a couple of other great safari destinations, but you also have the vineyards, which have great wine, great food. Some like truly outstanding restaurants. You've got the entire garden route where you can do whale watching, you can do outdoor adventures. You've got even beaches out there, and then you've got Cape Town, which is a beautiful cosmopolitan city with everything you could want. It's got great art
and
great history, great beaches, great hotels, everything you could want. So it gives you a bit of everything for a honeymoon.
True.
And North Africa is also great because you've got Egypt out there. Egypt, I think, is a very underrated honeymoon destination. You can have like this total Agatha Christie sort of yesteryear honeymoon along the Nile. You could charter the Habia and like have your private cruise down the Nile for like 3 or 4 days, visit all the temples. Obviously, you have the pyramids.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a very different.
And Sharm el-Sheikh?
Sharm el-Sheikh is great. It's the perfect beach to add on to any Egypt trip. And I think that's another thing about Africa. No matter where in Africa you go, there's a great beach to add on to it. If you're doing Tanzania, you can always add on Zanzibar. If you're doing Africa, South Africa, you can always add on Mozambique or Madagascar or something like that. So always great beaches anywhere along Africa you can add on.
That's really nice.